I'm Paris Schutz. We're learning more today about yesterday's alleged assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump, as both Republican and Democratic officials call one another out for dangerous rhetoric, leading to a heightened risk of political violence. New details from federal law enforcement officials reveal suspected gunman Ryan Routh spent hours near the Mar-a-Lago golf course before allegedly pointing an assault rifle in the direction of the former president.
Cellular data shows that the subject was in the vicinity of the golf course roughly 12 hours before the engagement with the United States Secret Service.
Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe says an agent identified the suspect off the 6th green while Trump was on the 5th fairway and engaged.
As former President Trump was moving through the 5th fairway across the course and out of sight of the 6th green, the agent, who was visually sweeping the area of the 6th green, saw the subject armed with what he perceived to be a rifle and immediately discharged his firearm. The subject, who did not have line of sight to the former president, fled the scene. He did not fire or get off any shots at our agent.
Rowe says Secret Service has expanded its protection of the former president, already heightened after the July 13th assassination attempt, to its highest level yet. Rowe called the agency's response yesterday, quote, exemplary.
The former president's protective apparatus allowed for the early identification of the threat and led to a safe evacuation.
Former U.S. Secret Service agent and security expert G. Michael Verdon says he's protected presidents on golf courses and says those assignments are par for the course.
This should not be difficult. This should be standard operating procedures. You know, we have certain plans and methods when it comes to securing an outdoor venue. So if it is difficult, then something's wrong. Something's wrong systemically if it's difficult.
Trump took to social media today to blame rhetoric from Vice President Kamala Harris and used the incident as an opportunity to demonize migrants. DePaul national security and terrorism expert Tom Makaitis says some rhetoric does cross the line, but questions about Trump's faithfulness to democracy does not.
Anybody who's saying Donald Trump is Hitler or Donald Trump is evil, that is over the top and inappropriate, because what that's doing is the exact same sort of thing which we're condemning here. That I would agree with. Saying this election, is very much about the future of democracy, I think is well within the bounds of respectable discourse.
And the investigation comes as some schools and public facilities in Springfield, Ohio, face bomb threats in the wake of Trump and running mate J.D. Vance amplifying debunked conspiracy theories that Haitian migrants there are eating pets. Makaitis says given Trump's incendiary rhetoric, the political threat level will be high for the foreseeable future.
This treatment of our political opponents and even the ordinary people we disagree with, not as good people we disagree with, as John McCain said about Barack Obama, but enemies that have to be combated in any way, shape, or form. So, I think I'm afraid we're likely to see more of it as the election approaches.
And Secret Service Acting Director Rowe mentioned that he would support more resources for his embattled agency, as President Biden has called on Congress to make that happen. Now, President Trump met with Rowe today and reportedly will not alter his campaign schedule after yesterday's events. Terrence.